The Patriots' War in Florida is sometimes referred to as the Patriots' Rebellion. It lasted from 1812 to 1814 and was an armed conflict that occurred in Spanish East Florida before and during the War of 1812. The United States unwisely, illegally, and clandestinely supported insurrectionists from Georgia, calling themselves the Patriots, as they attempted to incite a revolt to subvert Spanish rule in East Florida and seize the geographically important territory for the United States. The Patriots managed to temporarily occupy parts of Spanish East Florida with the support of units of the United States Army, Navy, and Marines, and by militia forces from Georgia and Tennessee. Since the Patriots' War was fought on a regional scale and did not include any legendary or charismatic generals or fabled battles, it has been overshadowed by the War of 1812 and has been virtually forgotten in U.S. history. In 1812, Florida was a Spanish colony that was sectioned off into West Florida and East Florida. The fourth President of the United States, James Madison, and his Secretary of State, James Monroe, secretly plotted to secure Spanish East Florida as a territory of the United States, fearing it would fall under British or French rule. On January 15, 1811, Congress passed a secret act in closed session for the acquisition of the area called the No Transfer Resolution. This act was the first U.S. government statement regarding its own security, which opposed the transfer of territories from one European power to another within the Western Hemisphere. The No Transfer Resolution established a formal U.S. policy toward its goals of seizing all Spanish borderlands. Madison appointed former Georgia Governor General George Matthews as an agent who led a contingent of military forces made up primarily of disloyal Spanish subjects and volunteers from Georgia and Tennessee who were promised 200 acres of Florida land in return for their services. This group of militia forces became known as the Patriots and declared themselves in revolt against Spain. 19th century filibusters were American irregular military adventurers who claimed to be acting on behalf of the U.S. interests while engaging in unauthorized military expeditions to foreign territories and nations in which the U.S. was at peace. They were seeking profits and were often motivated by the desire of territorial expansion and the spread of slavery. The main goal behind the Patriots' invasion into Spanish East Florida was to subvert Spanish rule and to clandestinely seize the territory for the United States, regardless of its flagrant violations of international law. The United States also stated they wanted to stop smuggling and prevent deserters and runaway slaves from seeking asylum in the Spanish territory. U.S. forces, including U.S. Navy gunboats, riflemen, infantrymen, and Marine troops, were ordered to cross the international border into East Florida by President Madison to support local revolts against what was falsely deemed as Spanish oppression. On March 17, 1812, the Patriots seized Fernandina, raised their flag, and offered the land to U.S. Colonel Smith, who actually accepted it in behalf of the United States. The Patriots established a republic with a constitution that included a court system, executive office, and legislative council, and they called it the Republic of East Florida. John Houston McIntosh, a wealthy planner and politician from Georgia, served as its first president. As the Patriots encountered Spanish Florida citizens, they claimed the United States promised to govern and protect them against Spanish aggression. They also guaranteed that the U.S. would honor existing Spanish land grants and offered enlistment in the U.S. Army to any Spanish soldiers who were willing to defect. The Patriot forces marched towards St. Augustine and set up a headquarters at Fort Mose. The Patriot forces could not gather enough support from local citizens and did not have the strength to defeat the fortified city of St. Augustine. On April 4, 1814, Secretary of State James Monroe sent a letter to George Matthews stating that the U.S. government did not approve of his methods used to seize Amelia Island and other areas of East Florida, as they were not authorized by the law of the United States or by the instructions it was founded upon. Matthews was abruptly replaced by David Mitchell, the governor of Georgia. Madison officially severed U.S. support for the Patriots, and then the Seminole Indians joined the conflict on the side of the Spanish. The Seminoles and their black allies successfully ambushed several companies of Patriot militiamen, which further weakened the Republic of East Florida. The War of 1812 began on June 18, 1812, and was fought by the United States and its allies against Great Britain and its allies in North America. This war diverted U.S. resources and publicity away from the Patriots' war in Florida. On an historical note, although peace terms for the War of 1812 were agreed upon in the December 1814 Treaty of Ghent, the war did not officially end until the peace treaty was ratified by the United States Congress on February 17, 1815. The War of 1812 ended in a draw. Neither the United States or Great Britain lost or gained any territory. The only negotiated change was that U.S. fishermen gained the right to fish in the Gulf of St. Lawrence. A guerrilla war in East Florida ensued, where thousands of people were killed or injured. Residential and commercial property was looted and destroyed, crops were decimated, and livestock was killed, run off, or stolen, which led to significant food shortages in the area. Terroristic scorched-earth tactics were utilized, and the Patriots were accused of raising the devil. Citizens were forced to flee from their homes and places of business and escape from the line of fire. After the Seminoles and their black allies joined the Patriots' war in Florida on the side of the Spanish, they conducted various ambush attacks against the Patriots. One such ambush occurred in late September 1812 when the Seminoles and their black allies attacked two companies of Georgia militiamen near present-day Gainesville. This particular ambush proved costly to the Seminoles and the Spanish, as Seminole leading chief King Payne was shot and died soon afterwards from his injuries. On a historical note, King Payne was the son of well-known Seminole chief Cowkeeper. The settlements of Paynestown and Payne's Prairie Preserve State Park were both named for King Payne. In 1813, Paynestown was destroyed by Tennessee militia volunteers who were fighting with the Patriots. Today, Payne's Prairie Preserve State Park is a 21,000-acre Florida state park and is also a United States National Natural Landmark. In January 1814, a group of Patriot militiamen and settlers erected a 25-square-foot blockhouse called Fort Mitchell, which was most likely located in present-day Volusia County, and they declared it the capital of the Republic of East Florida. General Buckner F. Harris, director of the Republic of East Florida, petitioned the U.S. government to annex this land from the Spanish. Secretary of State James Monroe answered and made it clear that the Patriot government was not supported or recognized by the United States government. The exact location of Fort Mitchell is currently unknown. On May 5, 1814, the Seminole Indians ambushed, killed, and scalped Buckner F. Harris. On an historical note, the practice of human scalping did not begin in the Americas. It dates back at least 15,000 years and occurred independently in various ancient cultures around the world, including nomadic peoples from Siberia, areas in what is now Germany and Scandinavia, and China. Native American scalping practices serve various social and cultural functions, such as demonstrating a warrior's prowess and masculinity. The act of taking a scalp was seen as a trophy. Many times it symbolized a victory over the enemy. European contact in the Americas intensified scalping practices, particularly as bounties were placed on the scalps of enemies during conflicts between colonizers and indigenous peoples. The Seminole Indians presented Spanish East Florida's governor, Sebastian O'Regan, with Harris's scalp. Governor Reagan promptly paid the Seminoles a bounty reward for killing Harris. After the death of Buckner F. Harris, the Patriots' main leader, and no support from the U.S. government, the Patriots' rebellion was squelched, and by the end of May 1814, the war in Spanish East Florida ended. The Patriots' War was a military and political debacle that was embarrassing to the Madison administration within the United States and was internationally discreditable to early U.S. foreign policy. Using filibustering and exploiting boundary disputes between Spanish East Florida and Georgia, common sense, ethics, and the truth were sacrificed in the pretense of national security. It is important to realize that its strategies, disgraceful and otherwise, helped lay the groundwork for continued and long-lasting U.S. policies associated with international affairs, expansionist politics, which were efforts to obtain all lands in North America, the continued enslavement of blacks, and discrimination and displacement of Native Americans. The Patriots' War helped initiate the Monroe Doctrine in 1823, which established a U.S. policy opposing European colonism in the Americas and asserting that any intervention by foreign powers in the Western Hemisphere would be viewed as a hostile act against the United States.